Hi everyone, this is Rose Fredericks, and I'm going to be talking about robots today. So before we go any further, let's go to the dictionary, what we're actually talking about. So from dictionary.com, I found that robots is defined as any machine or mechanical device that operates automatically with human-like skill. So there was a lot of different definitions of robot, but I thought this aligned the closest with what we're going to be talking about today. So first, let's talk about what robots are used for right now. So there's a lot of different systems. One is the food industry. So robots used in a lot of factories to sort, manufacture, create, package, basically everything to do with food in mass production. And that's kind of the robot that you think of, maybe not even as a robot, just kind of like the assembly line kind of machine that does things. Another way that they're used is in police training. So actually in Australia, robots are wearing body armor and they're kind of like moving around and police are practicing shooting at them. They're kind of like basically pretending to be people that the police would need to shoot at. So it's like more helpful training than just some, like boards that they have to shoot at that aren't really moving and they can predict more easily. Next, so the military. Um, Robots are used all the time in military ops, especially in terms of IEDs. So maybe identifying an IED, if they want to get closer without risking their life, they can just send in a robot over to check it out. And then they can also some of them can pick up those IEDs, move them over to where the bomb squad wants them, that sort of thing, which is really cool. And then another system is the agriculture industry. So robots are actually being used to harvest crops. You can see up here in this picture, as well as like pruning, weeding, spraying pesticide, monitoring the growth of these crops, a lot of different stuff. So as you can see, robots are used in a lot of different ways. I thought this one was interesting. So it's used in medical training. So we'll see an example in a second, but like a new way that they're being used is they look like a human and they'll kind of say out loud like, "These are my symptoms. This is what's happening to me." And then that offers students a chance to diagnose like what the problem is. So that's super helpful. So here we can look at a video. It's called Pediatric How. And this is an example of something that's he has these facial expressions. He's telling the lady like, "Oh, like I'm really in pain right now," and it kind of helps her get a very specific, like easy way and she can practice diagnosing. So that's nice. All right. So these systems, medical training and the four we already talked about, definitely not the only systems robots are being used in. But the ones that I find more interesting or the ones that are more prevalent. All right, next. So what are some of the concerns in terms of human factors when it comes to these robots and the systems they're interacting with? So the biggest problem with robots right now is that they're not autonomous enough. So the first way I mean that is that they're not really proficient enough in imitating humans yet. So like what I talked about, the ones that are dressing up in body armor and the police are trying to shoot at them, criminals. Um, Obviously they're not really moving as quickly or as intelligent as actual people would be moving. So it's not the best alternative, but it's still better than the other options, right? It's not like exactly imitating what an actual person would be doing. And then in terms of the medical professionals, right, like the robot can only do what it's taught to do. So obviously it cannot ever sort of sickness that medical professionals don't know about yet. And it also can only imitate things that people would have thought on it. So even things that are known about, but someone didn't think to put on it, it's not going to imitate. And then the second way in that it's not autonomous enough is that a lot of robots are still like they're working out the kinks and what to do with like how they're being able to do the task that they're assigned to. So when it comes to kind of robots that are used in like assembly lines, like we're talking about, they've gotten them pretty down to a science about what they need to do, and that's great. But any new robot that's being performed or any robot that needs to do like tasks that are a lot more difficult and take obviously not thought, but like you see the robotic of that, it's usually is causing a lot of problems. All right, so current human factors research with robots. So two interesting ones. The first was Pepper. I thought this was cool because this research is actually happening at the academy. So Pepper's a semi-humanoid robot. There's a picture of her right over here. So Pepper has like, a wealth of knowledge on a variety of subjects. So like imagine Alexa or Siri, how you can ask them things. It's a robot that can walk around, talk, and you can just ask her stuff whenever you're like not really sure. the cool thing that kind of makes her different from those two things is she'll come up to you and start talking. And it's kind of interesting because the robot's, meant to look at least sort of like a human. And so you're more likely to hold a conversation with this robot than with Alexa. And so she'll start a conversation with you or with possible customers, kind of see what they want, how they're doing, and all of this information that she's getting about the customer she's talking to, she's putting into her knowledge base. Next time you want to ask a question, you can also ask questions about what the customer wants. Or if you have a conversation with someone else about something related to business and she has something that's helpful, she'll just kind of butt in and say something, which is super helpful. It's almost like she's an actual person. And then to go on kind of the other side about research human factors with robots is the Titan Medical Robotic Surgical System. So it's this new system. It actually passed the factor evaluation 2 weeks ago, in August, and it's working on minimally invasive surgery. So it's actually specialized in gynecology right now. It's working other specialties. So this is a really interesting because gynecology is obviously people are kind of very iffy about, right? Like a lot of people don't want someone, they feel like their privacy is being invaded when someone's doing a procedure on them or kind of looking at them and seeing how they're doing. And so robot is much more comfortable. But then people on the other hand that are very protective, of that area, and so they're thinking, I don't want a robot touching me. I want a human. They're like, no, they're not going to make mistakes. And so right now it's kind of up in the air what the patients are wanting. But in terms of the actual how the system is operating, that's actually doing a great job. All right, so that's it. Here's my works cited. Thank you for listening.